Welcome back to the channel, guys. We are doing the astrology for January 15th till January 19th. Now, I'm just going to let you guys know right off the bat, I am tired AF. The dogs, we have 2 rescue dogs. They've been sick for the last couple nights, so I'm totally maybe like 8 hours sleep from 2 nights combined with the sick dogs. So we're running on empty over here, but I really wanted to jump on. I missed last week because I was sick myself. And I was like, we need to talk about the astrology happening right now. We need to dive in. So let's just do that. It will make me feel better too, right? Getting back into the swing of things, talking astrology, talking the craziness that Lilith and Hekate are bringing this week. It'll make me feel better. So let's do it. Now, this week, if I was to, I like giving a theme of the week when we kick off. I would say this week, guys, it's all about what are you focusing on and letting go of. Now, it's interesting to me, first of all, I'm in Canada and yet I cannot turn away from what's going on in California. No matter what across the world, it always just hits my heart when anything is happening like that. And so anyway, I'm sending my love to anyone that's in California. And at the same time, it's very interesting that it's happening at the same time as the astrology we're seeing this week, because the astrology this week is very much so the energy of like, what do you just need to let burn and move away from? And so the physical, like the extreme, very much extreme of that would be a forest fire, a wildfire. And what you have to realize that you're letting go of is your house, your possessions, the things that, those memories, the physical, tangible memories you created, and you're walking away from those and you're taking the things that are closest to you. You're taking the things that are most important to you and taking that and leaving, right? So your kids, your pets, whatever you can pack into your bags. And so the extreme of that and the energy in the last week would definitely be being faced with a natural disaster and looking at what has to burn. I can't stop my house from burning. I can't stop the fire myself. So what do? I take the things important to me and I run, I go the other way. And that is doesn't have to be literal fires, but I want you to look at your own life this week. I want you to look at maybe your business. You know, a lot of my clients this year have been feeling this even coming into this year, combined with them meeting Uranus opposition this year has been like extra impactful for them. But a lot of my clients have been feeling this, right? Where it's, am I holding on to this direction for the right reasons? Am I holding on to this belief for the right reasons? Am I holding on to this thing, this tangible thing, this place, this person for the right reasons? Does it actually serve me to hold on to this thing or this person? And a lot of my clients have been feeling that. And it's really been brought up of, am I chasing all these fires and putting these fires out, so to speak, because they're important to me and there's something that I need to focus my energy on? Or am I doing that out of obligation? Am I doing that out of because like I think I have to or I should or whatever, or because I'm refusing to let go? And then I'm burning myself because I refuse to let go. And this is the energy that we're really looking at. And also this week, which is really interesting, we're going to see this with, I'm going to break down some important points, but I just want to give you guys like the overarching energy of this week. We're going to see this with Lilith and Hekate and Vesta. And one of the really interesting things that I was looking at is like, it's, well, again, a burning down, the shadow world, going into like the underbelly of our shadow, of our psyche, of our emotional stories, of what we're holding on to, etc. But it's also like our projections. It's also our, not just emotional world, but mental world. Like, what are these ideas I have? And we've been seeing that online in regards to the fires, right? Like, it's just atrocious how people are like, I don't care about rich people because they're rich. They can just go buy their own house again. Or there's backlash over Mandy Moore sharing a GoFundMe for, I think it's her brother-in-law, I think it is. Because like, oh, she's rich and she can just buy a new house, right? So there's just so much to also be said for this week of like that underbelly that's being brought up, like that disgusting underbelly, the basement of like, these are your emotional beliefs. These are your identities. This is the shit you're putting out into the world. You know, and like the average person doesn't care, right? They're going to barf their projections over everyone, especially on the internet, because they just don't care and be rude and say stupid shit. And yet, like, I want you guys to turn that in on yourselves. Like, that's the shit that you're projecting on yourself and your potential. Those are the emotions that you have. Like, oh, I'm going to try. You've been trying for like 10 years. When does trying actually turn into action? right? Like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm this, I'm that. Like all these stories, like those are your projections. Do those serve you moving forward? Right? Like go into the belly of the beast, go into like the basement, your root chakra, even, and like extract the shit that's there. Like pour Drano down your soul like, and your chakra system, not for realsies, but just to like clear that shit out. So I want you guys to be looking at this week what we're seeing on the big scale of like people are saying this, like how insensitive, how tone deaf can you be saying that about someone when they've just lost their house, when they're involved in this massive tragedy? How would you? But then we don't look at the shit we say about ourselves and to ourselves 24/7. Right? So that's the main theme. Really feeling this energy right now, fresh off my Uranus opposition. It's funny. So yeah, I want you guys to be looking at that because one thing I will say, I've been in the psychology field for a long time. I've been in the self-development field for a long time, astrology, all of it. I hear so much, like this is the energy this week to be like, you got to pull up your big girl panties and just like do the thing, right? There's no right time ultimately, guys. Look, I'm so tired. We're just going to get like straight talking Ashley today. It's going to be like no filter. But the reality is like, there's no right time. There's no perfect time. You're never going to feel ready because you only start to feel ready once you start doing it. But then as you grow to your next level, you're like already not ready for that level. And so there's never a comfortable place. And so how long have you been saying that you're going to start? How long have you been saying you're going to do it? How long have you been like circling the drain and not actually taking action? And so there's one thing I have like very little tolerance for. And it's one thing that like I get judged for because I'll just like go tits deep into something. I was like, whatever, I'm going to jump off the deep end and like just like give it a shot and give it a try and see how it goes. But it's also like where I get some judgment. But the only people that are going to judge you for that shit are people that are like living in lives that they hate. The only people that are going to judge you for like testing shit out and living your dreams and saying what you want to say and showing up how you want to show up and doing the fucking thing. The only people that are going to judge you are negative people at home that they live their entire life being like, I wish I could do the thing. I wish I could live my dreams. I wish I could actually be happy. I wish I could say what she's saying. I wish I could quit my job and start doing what I want to do. Those are the only people, like people more successful than you aren't judging you, by the way. People that are actually doing the thing and putting themselves out there and living their dreams and falling on their faces 75 times a day, because that's entrepreneurship, sorry to break it to you, are not judging you because they're like, yep, that looks about right. That's entrepreneurship. That's following soul. That's figuring it out as you go. Right? Those are the only people that are going to judge you, is the people that aren't doing shit with their lives. And then they're going to project their own bullshit on you. But usually what you're going to have, not all the time, because, cancel culture and the internet, but usually what you're going to have is like, when you're living in that space, you attract people that say like your deepest fears. Right? Because you're living in that energy. So if we want to talk it from a quantum physics, like even if you're, well, we're talking astrology. So if you're not into energy, then I don't know what to tell you and why you ended up here. But from a quantum physics perspective, like attracts like in terms of the quantum field and quantum particles. Like you're going to attract what you put out into the world. So if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I'm such a fraud. Oh my God. Like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. People are going to make fun of me. I should just go back to corporate, etc. If you're saying all that shit, you're going to naturally attract more people that are going to say that. Right? You just got to own your shit. You've just got to show up. Maybe I should like not sleep more often so that I can just like come on here unhinged. It'll also do well to just like weed out my account too. Make sure I have the right people here. All right, we're a little late on the wolf moon. I took some time off and just like really focused on client work over the last week and a half. Really bizarre. My heart rate was like really high. I usually sit about 62 to 64 beats per minute. And it was like 80, 81. And like fluid retention. It was wild. Doctors didn't really know what was going on. They were like, relax. I'm like, I am relaxed. I just meditated for 2 hours today. I am relaxed. Stop telling me to relax. But it was very bizarre, but I couldn't get my heart rate down. So no matter what I did, and I didn't feel stressed. So anyway, that was that. I feel much better now, though. It was transient. So we miss either way because of that. We miss the wolf moon. A couple of things I just want to say about the wolf moon, so it's going to be setting the energy for this week, is when we're looking at the wolf moon, how it, like there's a couple stories on how it got its name, but ultimately what we're looking at is wolves are more likely to be heard howling at night this time of year. So even where we live, we don't have as many here. Well, not wolves, unfortunately, but coyotes too. But so not like big forested areas. But I remember one of the last properties we were at, like a big farm that I managed with. It was like a Canadian mental health program. I lived on farm anyway. Long story short, it was like surrounded by forest. Not anymore, thanks to, corporations and subdivisions, but it used to be completely surrounded by forest. And this time of year, I'd go out to check on the horses, and it was just like a symphony of wolves. Like you could hear it for so far because the trees are bare. It's still at night. People aren't really out at night. And just like the snow blanketing, it just echoes. So that's really what we're looking at for the wolf moon. There was traditionally, if we look at the wolf moon and some of the mythology around it, was believed wolves were howling due to hunger during the winter. But that's not accurate. Why is that important to you? Because when we're looking at wolves and howling, vocalizations, it's pack members. It's reinforcing social bonds. It's defining territory. It's coordinating hunting, but is essentially pack behavior. So another thing that we can look at this week, especially after, my 30-minute rant I just went on, is the things you're holding on to and unwilling to let go of. How is that preventing you from finding your pack? Actually, now that I think about it, it's so corny, but my first community, like when I first left corporate, and I was like, whatever, I'm just doing this. I'm just leaving corporate and starting. When I first left, I was in a mastermind with a group of women, and we just called ourselves the Wolf Pack. We were so, that's so corny, but it's just like, it's true. That's what we did. I'm kind of a nerd, but keep that between us. So, but it was like that idea of this week, like finding your pack, right? And the more you pretend to be something you're not, and don't worry, we're going to get to point like picking down the little pieces I'll show you in the astrology, but the more you are someone you're not, the more you surround yourself with people that don't get you. And then you have two choices from that perspective, right? So you either have the choice of masking and pretending to be something you're not even more, which is exhausting. And then I hear all the time people be like, oh, I'm exhausted because I'm a projector. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Or is it maybe the fact that like you're completely trying to hold up a life that is not even in alignment with you? I don't know. Something to pay attention to. Medical things I will add as well is really important. In 2023, I had multiple clients, they started with me and they're like, no, Ash, like, it's just because I'm a projector or a manifester that I have no energy. I'm like, can you just do me a favor and like go to the doctor? And they went to the doctor and they had like iron that was like, one was admitted to the hospital and the other one was getting transfusions. Like it was very serious situations. So with that said, please don't just write off. It's just my design. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. It's just because I'm a projector, I have no energy. It's not normal for you to not have energy. So when we're looking at the moon, the wolf moon is just like put a little couple pieces before we get too deep into the astrology of the symbolism of the wolf. All right. So one of my favorites, now I'm not paid by them, but I'm going to do like a little ad for them because I love them. But you guys know, if you follow me, I'm like such a follow fan. It's FAHLO. I'm legit. This is legit not an ad. I do not get a compensation in any way other than the fact I like helping animals. And that compensates my heart. Makes my heart and soul happy. But my follows red wolves. And actually it's interesting because you see so many people pissed off, right? I'm talking about the energy, the projections this week, the bullshit. But you see so many people pissed off because there's only 20 red wolves in the wild. So you don't get to track while other animals are alive. You don't get to track a red wolf in the wild because, well, they'll be killed, right? So it's like super protected. But anyway, you get a bracelet from Follow and you get to follow like one of the red wolves. So we're following, I think it's 2323M, like a prolific red wolf. And I've been researching him now after tracking his historical data. He's not alive anymore. But tracking his historical data has like really sent me down this rabbit hole of the wolf. And he's so prolific because of what he did for his family. He's so prolific because what he did for his pack. And he was just like, he met his soulmate too when he was being moved to another location, and they just clicked, and they were like the only red wolves to continually reproduce in the wild. But that's what it is, like finding your people and then like being obsessed with your people. But your people can only accept you if you're you. Your people can only see you if you're you. And people can smell inauthenticity like a mile away, right? So when you're trying to be something you're not, people feel it. So the spirit animal, the wolf, with the wolf moon going into this energy, wait till you hear what's going on with Hekate and Lilith this week in the 8th house. But this is like freedom. So where, one of the biggest things I would say is like, where are you not living free? It can be free, so you're shackled to your mind and your fears and your doubts and all that crap. You're not living free because, I don't know, maybe you keep saying like, one day I'll travel, or one day I'll do this, or one day I'll do that. The wolf is always going to represent as well courage, leadership, insight, wisdom, and adaptability. And I'm going to say, and community and connection, which is a big theme I told you guys about, right? But the adaptability piece of the wolf is so important. And we're so adaptable in many ways. You got to adapt. Guys, I'm telling you, it's like the next few months, if you're like, oh, new year, new me, bitches, new year, I'm just going to like manifest my wildest dreams, and 2025 is going to be like amazing from the get-go. You're diluted. Like, it's going to be tough the next few months. And if you hate me for saying it, go check out other astrologers, because everyone's saying it right now because it's true. It's going to be a tough few months. So the wolf moon and the wolf spirit animal is also like that adaptability. Find your people, find your thing, let what needs to burn, so you can find your people, find your thing. And then there's that resilience. Yeah. So when we look at it from a human design perspective, Raru, who used to always say that when you're living like your design, you're meeting things that are for you. So even if you hit challenges, even if you hit difficult times, even if you hit like you're just in the muck of it, that was meant for you. There's like wisdom on the other side of it, and you have the resources internally to move through it. So if you're doing your thing, being who you're meant to be in this moment, don't worry about 10 years from now. You're never going to be able to guess. Like, I hate to break it to you, but you're never going to be able to guess. So just be who you are now. And you're around your people, you're going to be able to weather the storm. But where the resistance comes from and where the difficulty is going to come from in the next few months with astrology is you're not being who you want to be. You're being a fraud, and you're around people that don't even support you and you can't even connect with because, you know, you want to talk about something super esoteric and like starseed shit and being a psychic, and they think you're batshit for that. So you can't even be yourself. And so how are you going to weather the storm that's coming over the next few months when you're going into the storm inauthentic and trying to be something you're not? And a lot of people think it's like, it's easier, right? It's like, it's just easier to be something I'm not. We'll see in the next few months. But the negative side of the wolf as well is dishonesty or deception. You're going to see that. We're like, there's going to be a lot of deception the last few months, or the next few months. The shadow of the wolf as well is lacking trust in yourself or someone else. And this is also the energy of the wolf is a lot of what we're seeing come to light with the California fires as well, like the misuse of resources. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm American, even though my shirt or my jacket has an American flag on it. I didn't put the patch there. Where is it? Yeah, I didn't put the patch there, but everyone thinks I'm American because of that. So like, I also have the Canada hat now to balance it out. I grew up in on the border in Windsor, Detroit. So I feel like I'm kind of both, even though not officially. Anyway, so what we're seeing with the California wildfires is like this lack of trust in someone because that person was like dominating or misusing resources, right? There was like greed, selfishness. We're even seeing some celebrities called out because they were misusing resources. They were over their water usage, that greed, that selfishness. But so not only is the wolf the negative symbolism of the wolf and the wolf moon representing that, but that's the shit that's also going to be coming out. And we're going to see more and more of that over the next few months. And so over the next few months, I would say it's, if you have an online business, it's not just important to be authentic because like, what's the alternative? Being a fraud, and then like no one wants to hang out with fraud, right? But so there's like, not just to say that, but because people are going to feel this, because that shadow of the wolf moon is going to be exposed, where, you know, greed's going to be exposed, inauthenticity is going to be exposed, control, people that are controlling, trying to dominate, dishonesty, like deception is going to be huge over the next few months. You want to be able to connect with people, right? Like you want to be able to genuinely connect with people, or they're not going to trust you. And with AI, there's less and less trust. Like if you're like, I refuse to go live, like live is too scary, I'm just not going to go live. People trust everything else less now. Why? Well, you can like make videos on captions with AI, like with people AI. Some poor woman just got scammed out of like almost $1 million thinking that Brad Pitt needed help with his medical bills. It's very bizarre. But anyway, like almost $1 million. But the point is, the shadow of the wolf moon is also going to come out from the perspective of like, people aren't really going to trust. So the only way you're going to also be able to like survive the next few months is also being authentically you. And we can see this with like, is it Spencer Pratt and Heidi Pratt? I don't know. I never watched, was it The Hills they were on or something? I don't know. Never watched the show. But I just like, I was never really interested in them. I always thought they were super fake. I'm not going to lie. But again, I never really watched the show or knew them much. And I think back then, if I think back, I would have been pretty young. That was a while ago that show was on. I think they were like positioned and marketed as the villains. Anyway, never really thought too much about it. But my point being, their house burned down in the fires. Her song, she's never, like, she's put out music, but never been like a pop star, right? Spencer is like being, I can't even look away. I can't even look away. I am watching all his videos. I want updates. I want to know what they're doing. He's making me laugh. He's making me cry. He's like so authentic. And now her song's #1 because people want to support them to help them rebuild after the fires. That's the shit that's going to be effective in 2025. Not this contrived crap. Like that. People are rallying behind him. And like me, I'm like, I can't look away. And like my whole life, I've grown up not really thinking much of them, but thinking they were kind of the villains because I guess that they were marketed that way, so it worked. But like, it's just authenticity. He's just connecting with people, and that's the energy of this year. And the wolf moon is setting us up for that. So don't think that just because the wolf moon's, you're like, oh, it's done. You know, you're like, actually, it was 2 days ago. No, the wolf energy and the wolf moon is setting us up for the rest of this year, particularly the next few months. And so what people are going to start feeling is like lack of trust. And if you're running an online business, especially if you're brand new to an online business, if you're coming out of like no man's land and starting a business, like there is such a perception of the online space where you're like, I just started in Instagram, like people should be paying me. Why aren't people paying me? It's like, I don't know. Like you have no history. Like why should people pay you is the better question. Like I've never really understood the mentality of I started an Instagram. Why aren't people paying me? And it's like, I've always had the opposite viewpoint of why should people pay me? And then I've worked to prove it that they should, that I'm the best at what I do, right? Like, it's just very bizarre to me. But anyway, that's the energy that we're going to have from the wolf moon. Now, let's dive a little bit deeper into, those are the themes over the next few months. Let's look at more particularly and more specifically the astrology for this week and break down some important points. If you guys are new here, well, 1, welcome. 2, subscribe. And 3, I particularly like esoteric astrology and non-traditional points, but I really do like the moon. And we talk about some of the more traditional astrology, but I do like asteroids. I do like fixed stars. Those tend to be where I put a lot of my focus. So the moon. Now, the energy for the moon that we're moving into what's today? Would have been yesterday. Sorry, 14th. I thought today was the 14th. Oh my goodness. That's what happens when you're sick and then you just take time off. Okay, so 14th, let's go back. Where we were moving with the moon. There we go. So we had the moon in Cancer. The moon now, overnight from the 13th to the 14th. There we go. The moon in Leo. And here's the thing with the moon in Leo, my friends. One, it's setting the stage for a lot. I am like boiling. I have a fire on behind me. I just have to take my jacket off before I literally melt on this call. I don't think I've ever had that fire actually work that well. Holy crap. I wear so many layers because we have like an old farmhouse, right? And it's like, I love old farmhouses. I would never want a new build. I always love old farmhouses, but they come with their downsides as well. So I'm like, if you see me getting redder and redder and sweatier as we go, it's because I literally have the fireplace right behind me. It's on. All right. So when we're looking at the shift in the energy, it's setting the stage for what's to come. And again, what I really want to focus on, what's going to be really exciting, is what's going down in the 8th house this week. But we're going to start here. What I want you guys to focus on this week is there is going to be a lot of creativity, a lot of emotions coming up. There's going to be an energy of like loving energy, especially with Venus this week, loving energy. But again, is it your wolf pack? Is this the right people? Are you focusing on the right things? Or are you letting, like, again, running around? I've had clients in the past and I'm like, you're burned out because you're running around putting out fires. Like, just let it burn. It's fine. Let it go. Let it go. It's time to let it go. So are you focusing your creative energy this week on trying to hold up shit that no longer serves, that isn't for you, that doesn't fuel you, that doesn't excite you, rather than using like this Leo energy is going to be so much like self-expression, creativity, maybe new projects coming out. Like for me, I just picked up my paint again. I haven't painted in so long, but even before I saw it, really dove into the astrology for this week, I was like, oh man, I need to start drawing and painting again. That's the energy of this week. And then also for this week is like allowing that, you know, maybe I've had clients in the past where like they came to me with a coaching career and they're like, I'm going to be a coach. And then a couple, you know, months in, they're like, I've always wanted to be an artist. I'm like, all right, be an artist. Like, let's build that out for you. Why are you being a coach when you want to be an artist? It makes no sense, right? So you might also find this week, especially with the 8th house energy we're going to be moving into in the coming days, of like creativity starting to boil, but also noticing where you've been like suppressing that creativity, suppressing your emotions, suppressing self-expression because like it's bad, or how do I make a living on that, or like trying to control the outcome. This is all about, this energy is finding joy in what you do. But you can't find joy in what you do unless you're actually doing what you want to do. You might find temporary joy, right? And then we have Pandora with the moon as well. That's exciting energy because Pandora can be like, you know, Pandora's box, right? Chaos, the gift that turned into chaos. Pandora can represent that. It's like the almost like hidden strings, gifts that come with strings, or opening the gift and it turns into chaos. But the energy that I'm seeing here, especially retrograde with Pandora, is like, well, if you think something's a gift because you're trying to be something you're not, and like, oh, for example, I'm going to give you guys a tangible example of this, not in relationship to this energy, but just so that you can take a tangible example. So I got years ago invited to speak in someone's community. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a gift. This is the best thing that could ever happen to me because this is like, this person was like the top of the top in the self-development space other than like Tony Robbins, but like pretty high up. And I was invited to be a speaker in their space and be like a regular contributor in their space. So that was a big thing. It was very much like getting that stamp of approval of kind of like you've made it. And it wasn't from heart or soul though that I was saying yes to that opportunity. It was like, oh, cool. Like, what can I get from this opportunity? Like, who can I meet? How can I be seen? It wasn't from soul. It wasn't because it was right. And sure as shit, like it was Pandora's box. It was a mess. It was a mess. It also, it's like, what's the saying? Don't meet your heroes or something. Because I was just like, holy crap, didn't realize. But anyway, that was something that was Pandora's box. And I want to make sure I'm saying this in a way that's going to hit for you guys with this Pandora moon energy. It turned into chaos because it was never the right gift in the first place. Let me know if that makes sense. I thought it was from the mind, but my heart or your intuition or inner authority, if you follow human design, was like, no, absolutely not. Do not do this. But I was like, oh my gosh, from the head, like this is gonna be so good. Such a great opportunity. Like I finally made it being recognized by this person. And so what I thought was a gift was actually chaos because it wasn't actually a gift in the first place. It wasn't actually a gift for my path, for my higher purpose, for my soul, for what I wanted and my unique expression. In fact, if we're looking at it from the energy of the moon this week, it like suppressed my self-expression because I had to, and this makes sense, but to be in someone else's community like that, you're also representing them. So I had to suppress my own self-expression in many ways to be in that space. So like, honestly, I know I say it all the time, but like, stop shitting the bed, guys. Like, stop shitting the fucking bed. Seriously. If you're going into this week and you're like, one day I'll do the thing, you're just going to keep taking on gifts that were like never actually gifts that for your soul path, never actually gifts for what's meant for you, or what the mind thinks. And that's when it turns into chaos. And it's going to like suppress your self-expression. And if you're building a brand, one of the most important things is who you align yourself with in terms of partnerships or positions you're putting yourself in, speaking opportunities. But not everything that appears to be a gift is actually allowing you to have that self-expression this week. Oh, I'm glad it makes sense. That's so good. I'm glad it hit. Like, how do I describe this energy of the moon and Pandora? So I'm glad that really hit. Now, with this as well, it's going to be a little bit of a fiery. I know it's hard to tell based on this video. My Fitbit's going off. I know it's hard to tell based off this video that there's a fiery emotional energy this week. You can't tell here. Can't tell at all. But this week is going to be a bit fiery. But I would say this is also what I say to my clients, right? Because a lot of clients get into like premenstrual energy. Sorry, guys, we're going there. Premenstrual energy. And it's like, oh, it's PMS and I'm irritable and this bugs me and that bugs me and I'm emotional and this and that. Yep. It's like that sorceress energy. It's like, yeah, dark goddess energy. Yeah. They're like, yeah, but it's bad. I'm like, well, I'm not telling you to go off and be like a raging ass to people. And if you have more of an edge when kind of the filters are coming off in premenstrual energy, I don't know. Maybe that's just who you are. Maybe you're someone with an edge. Maybe you're someone that's a little more authentic and speaks their mind more than you think you do. Right. So it's also the energy that we're going into this week is like, I don't know, if you're feeling a little spicy this week with this energy, with the moon, maybe that's just who you are. And you've been pretending that it's not. You've been pretending that it's like just PMS or just the moon or something. It's like, just own who you are, man. Just own who you are. Because here's the thing. When you own who you are, you give people the opportunity to either like you or not. Like someone's going to be on this live and be like, this chick is unhinged and I don't like her. And that's totally cool. Like that's totally cool. I'm glad because you can find someone else. And I'm really attracted to astrologers and mentors and spiritual teachers, or even not even spiritual, even like coaches in business and such that are really like rough around the edges and say it like it is. There's someone for everyone. And we have interesting energy yesterday going into today with the moon with the eighth house, which is setting the stage for the rest of the week. And we're seeing some hard aspects up to who? Lilith, good old Lilith. And it's setting the stage for some tough aspects to Hekate as well. This is all the underworld, guys. It's death and rebirth. Like this week, if you can actually just let yourself be a little unhinged a bit, because it's like, if you just like take off the wire bra, take off the wire push-up bra, let the girls hang loose, and take that metaphor and apply it to your life and how you show up in your business. This week's going to feel like it's going to feel easier. And the next few months are going to feel really easier. But if you're trying to still shove yourself in the push-up bra that you don't like anyway and leaves red lines on you and makes you sore and hurts your back, you know what I mean? Like it's going to be a lot bumpier of a ride. So that's going to set the stage. Not all that glitters is gold. Yeah, exactly. And it's always going to be the mind, right? That thinks like, I used to say it as you can't roll shit in glitter and call it gold. right? You can't roll shit and you roll it in gold glitter and be like, oh, look at it. No, people can still smell that, right? And that's that wolf spidey senses, right? Like that wolf moon energy that we're moving through and moving with, because it's not just like, oh, it's like when people hear about my Uranus opposition calls, they're like, oh, I already had that. I'm like 2 months out of it. I'm like, that is not how it works, my friend. That's not how it works. And so this wolf moon energy, it's not like, oh, well, Ashley, you missed it by a day, so too bad. Like the energy's done. No, right? That wolf spidey senses is coming with us for the rest of the year, but more particularly not the rest of the year, but next few months especially. But I would say the wolf energy is setting the stage for 2025 because it's the first major shift and major lunar energy that we're stepping into this year. So while it's going to be really big and prominent over the next few months, how are you leading yourself? Authenticity. Are you hanging out with the right people? And then we're also going to feel that collective lack of trust and calling people out, lack of trust between people, personal relationships, people online, etc. But that's going to carry out 2025 and bring a lot of that energy through the year. So just being aware of that, right? And it's not bad. You just get to like own your freaking spidey senses and your wolf senses. That's who you are. We've just like paved over everything that's intuitive. One of my, because my history's in psychology as well, and one of my mentors along the path in somatic experiencing and has provided many certifications to me in it, had mentioned something once of like, we're just heads hurting a body around. Yep. And then we expect like astrology to help or, human design to help or any of this to help, but it's like not even getting past the head. It's not even getting past the neck. It's just more fodder for the brain. And that's going to it's really going to be an important energy for this year, honestly. Ra, who used to say, he thought he could just like wake up the generators and then the generators would like go wake up everyone else. And then he said, 15 years later, I have the same generators coming to me with the same problems. Like he eventually gave up on those generators. Like, well, can't rely on you guys to wake anyone up because y'all are just like shitting the bed. But he said, 15 years later, they're coming in with the same problems. Now, I would argue that's across the board, that it's human nature. I've seen and worked and been in this field long enough that I see people come back 5 years later with the exact same problems. They weren't actually taking action 5 years ago. Right? I've had a lot of clients that I worked with on dragon energy 5 years ago, and they're just like coming back to me now and being like, yeah, I just went back to what was comfortable, because we go in these cycles. This is what's being exposed this week. Now we also have the moon has some energy, it's not going to be easy, guys. Like, it's not going to be a fully easy energy that we're moving through. Yeah, because we have even Jupiter, the energy as we go through this week with Jupiter, the moon and Jupiter. It's not going to be easy. And growth shouldn't be easy. Growth shouldn't be easy. I'm going to take a very unpopular opinion on this, but how does having it easy help you grow? I'm going to tell you guys a study that was done. Two studies. I don't know how or why the one had to be done, but it was. The first one was with butterflies. And if butterflies were cut out of their cocoon too early and they didn't have that actual fighting to get out, they could never fly and they died. I would say this is actually the case because we have chickens. And if a chicken gets stuck in the shell, they're less likely to survive and thrive if you have to help them out. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they're just fine, but often it's less likely they're going to survive if they need that help, right? So the butterflies were cut out too early and then they couldn't fly. So they died. The other study that was done, again, I don't know why these studies had to be done. I feel like we could put money towards stuff that's more important, but whatever, was around trees. And this idea of if you grow trees in a greenhouse where they're not exposed to the elements, where they're not battered by rain and snow and wind, and you put them outside, it's very hard and difficult for them to root. And that's what you see often, right? People have their little trees tied to posts just so it doesn't fall over. But you have little trees you walk through a forest or even on our property, we have little trees that have always lived outside and they have no problem weathering the weather. They have no problem with this asinine amount of snow because they've just grown through the challenges. So this moon energy this week with Jupiter is very much this energy of sometimes growth doesn't come easy. And I would take it a step further than what that really represents and say it shouldn't come easy. Growth shouldn't come easy. You're not owed anything by the universe. You're not owed money, attention online, nothing, right? You're not owed your growth. So there is going to be this energy of friction. So your lesson with Jupiter and the moon this week is going to be, well, where again, I've been kind of out of touch with myself, where maybe you've been expecting it to be easy. So you're not taking action, right? You're staying in what's old and comfortable because you're like, oh, it's going to be difficult and hard. Yeah, it is going to be difficult and hard, but it's also difficult and hard to stay where you are, right? So maybe you've been putting off this energy, or you've been stuck in this energy of Jupiter and the moon of, I can't do that because it's going to be difficult to get started, or I don't like going live, or, oh my God, will my family say if I quit my job? Lean into that fighting spirit this week. Lean into that fighting spirit. I'm not saying go pick fights with people, like physical fighting spirit, but like lean into that fighting spirit. Assert yourself, own your goals, own who you are, own what you desire, and then go out and achieve it. That's the energy of the moon and Jupiter this week. It has that potential to be very expansive, but it has that potential to like collapse in on itself as well if you're just living in cycles of fear. Because you, like this week, especially today, the 15th into tomorrow, you have to believe. You have to believe. You have got to be willing to just step out in the unknown. There's no way, my friends, there's no way you can predict your life. I am promising you that. You're not going to predict the good. You're not going to predict the bad. You're not going to predict the highs, the lows, and everything in between. You're just not. I find when you really just own your shit and go out there and like go after it, it's usually even better than you could imagine. Is typically what I've experienced, what my clients experience when you like surrender, but like take aligned action, right? Surrender is not just like I collapse in on myself and don't take action. You surrender and like you like have that fire, that vesta in your heart, that fire in your soul, and you go after your dreams and you're like, I am not letting something stop me. Like there is no plan B. I have burned the bridges, bitches, and I am going for this. It's plan A or nothing. It's typically better than you can ever imagine, but you can't plan for shit. Not fully. And you can own that. Yeah, it's typically going to be better than you could ever imagine. That's often what I find, at least. All right, let's get into, I've been talking way too long today. Where was the aspect I'm looking for? Was it? No, back. Okay. So I want to look at this. We have Poseidon here. We have Hekate, Vesta, Lilith. A lot of energy that is going down this week between these bodies and these powerful. Like when we're looking at Hekate and Lilith, we're talking like dark goddess energy, right? Like we're talking like rip shit down energy. We're talking like underworld. Hekate owns the underworld. Like she's that death. She's rebirth. She's magic. And we're experiencing a lot of that energy this week when we have, there we go. Vesta, inner flame. Lilith is going to be, so this, oh no, damn it, I went too far. Ashley, if you could just get a nap in today, that'd be fantastic. There we go. Okay, so what we're looking at, we have Poseidon here, Hekate, and Vesta. What I want you to feel into with Hekate and Vesta, Hekate is going to be associated with the moon as well. So that's why I was looking at the moon a lot this week. We also have the moon at the same time as Vesta and Hekate are taking, are hanging out. The moon's with the south node. which is really interesting to me, oppose Isis, oppose Psyche. Psyche's going to be the energy of like the underworld, yes, but more of this connection to love, this connection to she's married to Cupid, this connection to love of soul, this connection to your soul path, ultimately, Psyche. But it is like that underworld of it. It's like beyond the conscious mind, beyond what the mind thinks, right? So when we have Psyche beyond the mind, goddess of soul, I oppose the moon, oppose South Node. I'd be reflecting, guys, this week. I'd really be reflecting South Node retrograde. I'd be reflecting on where you're not in alignment with soul. And Hekate energy is transformation, death, and rebirth. So again, it's that same energy. Where are you out of alignment with soul? Where are you not owning who you are? Where are you not owning your place? Where are you not owning your path? Where are you not owning the foundations that you need to take you into the next few months? Now, when we're looking at the connection as well that the moon and Psyche have this week, they're both divine feminine aspect points, considered divine feminine aspect points in astrology. This can also represent depth. So again, it's like the depth of your emotional world, the depth of your soul. I like to look at it as like diving into the depths of the ocean with these two bodies, this two energy and how they interact. If you're diving into the bottom of the ocean, you might have like a headlamp on. You're not seeing that fucking far ahead of you. It's going to be dark. So it's another analogy is like you're walking through a forest with a lantern. Well, that lantern isn't a spotlight. You're seeing the next couple steps ahead, but you have unwavering honesty with yourself and others, especially with yourself right now. Especially with yourself. Can you have unwavering honesty with where you're out of alignment? Maybe, maybe not. I believe everyone has that ability to. I guess the better question is, are you willing to? Right? Because Hekate with Vesta as well is going to very much be looking at what needs to die. And I think so many people have like this weird energy with death and rebirth. And I think, North America, well, I'm in Canada, so I can really speak to North America, but has that, it's like this live forever, stay young, stay in the maiden, like this plastic world. And I don't think we really realize how that impacts us in terms of like death and rebirth cycles within ourselves. If we're afraid of like death, how does that represent death cycles within us? We all need them. Again, it's this energy of like letting go of what needs to be let go of. Are you willing to? Are you willing to step into that? And we have these dark goddesses that are dancing with Vesta this week. Intuition, transformation, mysticism. Right? Like, where is your inner flame out? And you need to take responsibility for it. You need to own it. You need to own the powerful transformation that's coming and where you're going. But, Hekate's like comfortable in the sorry, I'm just going to put my coffee down. I don't want to keep holding it. She's comfortable in the other underworld. Lilith is too. So they can hang out with you there. They can hang out with you there as long as you fight it. And I find like one of the biggest things that we need to realize is the more you create your own suffering, the more you resist the death and rebirth rather than just letting it go. We've gotten so uncomfortable with death. Yes. And that impacts every area. I mean, I wouldn't really recommend anyone go through the amount of death I dealt with in 2024. However, farm life, #farm life sometimes. But yeah, like we have gotten so uncomfortable and we don't realize to the extent that it really negatively also impacts our experience of our own death and rebirth, which is what we need to go through. We consistently need to go through our own death and rebirth. another thing to keep in mind with Hekate and Scorpio energy is this is showing, and Lilith is there too. Good old Lilith is hanging out there. You need to go deeper into the mind. You need to go, like I said, the depth, right? We talked about that multiple times. You need to go deeper into the mind. You need to go like down into the dark recesses of your soul this week, to go where you haven't dared to go before, to dig out the truth, your truth of where you're holding back. And it's all about transformation. And, you know, at the end of the day, guys, I would just say, like, if you've been putting something off, just fucking go live. You know what I mean? If you're like putting off a pivot in your business, just go live and like say what your pivot is. Just post, go live. Actually, don't post. Go live and say what your pivot is. Connect with people. Say where you're going. Say what you're doing. Introduce yourself. Shit, if you just did a live yesterday introducing yourself and then you heard this and you're like, I'm still holding back, reintroduce yourself again. The only people that are going to judge you are people doing worse off than you at the end of the day. You will never see someone more successful than you judging you. That is one thing I can promise you of. All right, do I want to talk about anything else? Kept you guys for quite a long time. And I wanted to record some reels. Oh, Neptune and Pisces. Neptune in Pisces. God, I'm tired. And North Node in Pisces. I don't think we'll see this again in our lifetime. So this is something we haven't seen in our lifetime. And I don't believe we'll see it again. I don't have it exactly when it'll happen again, but I believe we won't see it again in this lifetime. Now, when we're looking at this energy of North Node, Neptune, Pisces energy, I would say, like, if you're aligned, you're going to have this energy and this belief of like, thank my lucky stars energy. It's going to be very much like, holy shit, thank my lucky stars. Yeah, like everything the foundations you're putting in right now are setting the stage for the rest of your life, because we're not going to see this. I don't believe. I'd have to confirm, but I don't believe off the top of my head we haven't seen it previously. I don't believe we're going to see it again for the rest of our life. These two in Pisces together. So what are the foundations? And I honestly, if I can nearly guarantee, because of this energy, if you put the right foundations in, you're like later this year, you're like, oh my God, thank my lucky stars. Like, holy shit, I did the thing and it paid off. Guarantee it. But you have to stay true to it too, where a lot of people, when they're looking at like the direction they're going in, they try for a week and it doesn't work. And they're like, oh, fuck, I suck and it sucks and it wasn't going to work and it was never going to work anyway. And so that, you know, they walk away from it. What are you being called into? Because there's a lot of good fortune coming for those. And I really also believe that the world in general is going to be going through like almost an existential crisis this year. And a lot of people are returning to spirituality. And so for those that are like leading the way, there's a huge opportunity here, a huge opportunity. But you have to put the foundations in place now, right? It's very difficult unless like you're just like a pop culture commentator and you're really leveraging like current pop culture trends. But if you're like trying to set yourself out as an authority in your niche, as an authority in a field, like, I hate to say it, but it has to be earned, right? So the foundations you're putting in now, later this year with this energy, and you're like, holy shit, it paid off. Now, with this energy trine Mars this week, North Node, Neptune, energy you take this week, what have I been saying? If you let the fires just burn, that need to burn, and you grab the shit that's important to you and you go in the direction of your dreams and you don't look back, I'm telling you, there's going to be new directions that open up, big opportunity, big changes in your life, big changes in behavior that's setting the stage. There's going to be a lot of the right opportunities. Remember we talked about the moon and Pandora. Bo, is it like you thought it was a gift and it was only chaos because your mind convinced you it was a gift when it was never right in the first place? Or was it like an actual gift? But there's a lot of opportunities for those that are aligned. There's a lot of opportunities that are for those that are willing to step boldly in the direction of their dreams. So it's not all bad, right? Like what I would say is, yeah, like buckle up in the next few months. But for those that are putting the foundations in, it's like, well, yeah, like things can be burning around me, but I'm still going to be grounded. I'm still going to be who I am. I'm still going to be showing up for what I believe in. And with the Neptune and North Node as well, it's like as soon as you step into that and build the foundations, those issues that might have been holding you back from your past, you might just see them start to fade away. Could be fears, could be like stressors you had in your life, whatever, right? Usually fears. Let's be honest, it's humans. Usually fears. Or you failed, right? Like I have some clients that hire me for business and they're like afraid of really owning the direction because they've launched 5 times before and it's failed. All right, well, own this direction you're going in. Own who you are. Speak to your people. Remember the pack, howling for your pack, finding your people, being authentically you, building those foundations, the right opportunities, saying yes to the right opportunities. Listen to your intuition. Walk away, like I said from the beginning today, walk away from the shit that's not for you anymore. But you can, like, the only one in your life that can get you to walk away from shit that doesn't serve is you. Stop complaining to people that are just like, but you're trying. And stop surrounding yourself with yes men. Stop surrounding yourself with victims, right? Who just feed into that. Like, well, at least you're trying. Put yourself around people that like force you to grow, and not because they're jerks, not because they're like, you suck, but just like they expand you. They're expanders is the way I like to describe them. They're expanders. Like just being around them, you're like, is my old girl lying down? Oh no, she's getting food. My old horse, my old rescue. Funny story about Luna. I can tell you guys if you're newer here on another video about manifesting. Anyway, we won't get too off track with that, but about life being wilder than your dreams, I can do a video on Luna. But this is a time, like, walk away from the shit that doesn't serve. And as you, Neptune, North Node, again, like this is like quite literally once in a lifetime opportunity. As you walk away from those things that don't serve, the right opportunities are going to show themselves. You're going to, one of actually my clients, I was talking to her about similar energy to this and just preparing for this energy. And I said, you know, like when you declutter the shit that's holding you back, it actually like leaves space for creativity. It leaves space for inspiration. It leaves space for profound, like, and remember we talked about creativity this week, creative expression. Now for you, that might be creating a course. It might be channeling. It might be painting. It might be drawing, like singing. I don't know, dancing. But when you finally let go of that shit that's holding you down, like I want you to think of the analogy, all of that shit that's been holding you back with this energy with the North Node and Neptune, all that energy is like representative of anchors on your feet. You're exhausted because you've been trying to tread water with anchors on your feet. How much lighter are you going to feel and how much farther are you going to be able to go when you get rid of those anchors? Now, this can also represent, now the one thing that's like, you got to be careful. Who's seen my video on Saturn? If you haven't, check out the video after this call, after you're done with this, because Saturn's an interesting character. Now, it's not like, not conjunct or anything, just interesting, close by 12th house. So I just want to point it out. And with values, so Venus, right there with Venus, I would say one of the things I would just be careful of as you move forward is with this energy of North Node, Neptune, once in a lifetime opportunity, quite literally, Saturn, Venus, Saturn's going to kick your ass moving forward when you're out of alignment with your values. So when we look at it, even from like a human design perspective or BG5 perspective, what we look at is like judge and discipline is Saturn. So one of the ways Ra Rahu used to describe it is Saturn leaves you alone as long as you're on track. But one of the ways you can tell you're off track is because Saturn's going to kick your ass. Right? So it's one of those what we would call signposts that you can use to make sure you're on track is to be in alignment with Saturn. So I would say like this energy here, especially when we're combining Saturn with Venus, is like you got to get on board with your values this week. Believe in miracles, believe in potentiality, believe in change. You might even notice like an increase in angel numbers. I know it sounds weird, but Neptune, North Node, angel numbers, Metatrons and Archangel I work a lot with. I'm also connected to the dragons and crows. But yeah, you might see like an increase in angel numbers. Maybe even I'd recommend this week if you work with archangels, working with dragons, if you work with dragons, just sit in that energy. Now, the interesting thing as well this week, moving into in the energy that's really being set up here, you guys know I love Pluto. It's another dark goddess energy, but there's a sextile to Pluto with this energy, Neptune and North Node with Pluto. So Pluto's, for me, represents dark goddess, transformation, rebirth. How many times are we going to say that today? Transformation, rebirth, letting go of what needs to go. So when we're looking at this energy, something big, like at least one area. If it was 10th house Pluto, I'd say career. I don't necessarily want to say career, but there's going to be an energy. Your higher purpose is going to be coming into light more. And there's going to be a big shift, a potential for a big shift in one area of your life. There could be a potential, could be home, could be family, maybe a birth, maybe pregnancy. That would definitely change the trajectory of someone's life. But again, when we look at this energy with Saturn and Venus, examine your innermost beliefs. Fate is like, if we're looking at the wheels of fate today, fate is like, all right, figure out your shit. Figure out your inner world because it's about to get bumpy. So dig it out. Put the Drano through all the tubes that it needs to go through so that you can go in the right direction, so that you can go with the flow, I'm going to reword that. Not the flow, your flow. Very big difference going with the flow versus your flow. But you need to do the work this week. Journal your little heart out. Like meditate. Like I had a client once where she's like, I'd love to go to a silent, meditation retreat and like go away for 6 months and just sit in silence. I was like, and it wasn't realistic. And I said, find it in moments in your house. Do it as much as you can in your house. That was me the other day. I was just like, ugh. My heart rate was like 82 beats at that moment for no damn good reason. As I feel like my heart's going to explode. I just like laid down. It's like I'm just silently meditating, staring at the ceiling. And I had so many breakthroughs though. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of self-examination this week. My computer's about to die, so I should probably wrap this up. But I would say overall, you're being led into the underworld this week. I would say that's the big message. You're being led into the underworld by some pretty big badasses, man. Like, these are badasses. To be led into the underworld by Hekate and Lilith to reignite your inner flame. To be led into the underworld by Hekate and Lilith with the energy we have of Psyche, which is like love of soul, love of self, full expression of self. Like, you're being held by Psyche while you walk into the underworld with Hekate and Lilith. Like, I don't know. Pretty badass energy this week, if you ask me. But that's my personal opinion. I'd love to hear what you guys are feeling, what you guys are thinking this week. But before my computer dies and I lose this, because I don't know if it would actually save if my computer died while I'm streaming. I don't know. I'm glad it was so helpful. I'm so glad. Like, subscribe, share with a friend, tag a friend, leave a comment. Comments always help with the algorithm. Leave a nice comment. It's always humans on the other end of the screen. If you don't like it, you can always click away. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. And it's nice to be back. It's nice to like not have a heart rate that feels like it's going to explode at any minute. So thank you for being patient while I took some time off. And I'm going to record some more videos to go up right after this. And check out my Instagram, Ashley Brianna Eve, because I put up a medical astrology reel today for Libra. All right, my friends. Bye. I'll see you in the next one.